So timestamps should exist for this video in case you just want to skip forward, because we have some things to pick up, because this is the day when the gold ship special missions come out, and this is also the period in which I'm going to get my 3-star gold ship, so gold ship, my goodness. And yeah, we're just going to pick this up immediately. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty, that's pretty easy. If you didn't already know, I do have the the second, technically, gold ship title. So as we sit here and do our best, let's do our free scout, because it's free, I might as well go for it, because you never know what's gonna happen, right? And then, as people know, we're getting our 5,000 plus carats here, so, yeah, this is, I don't know if this happened on the other server, but as we move on here, and I have, you know, I have most of the rare cards, fully capped. I'm pretty sure I still have like 40% of them remaining if I care about them. But Simile Rudolph is still gonna be appreciated if I want to run a debuffer. I'm not planning to run, well, a strict debuffer, let's just say, for the future, but it'll be fine. And then, yeah, we'll move on. I don't think there's anything else to check. I did all my current Chan Legend races for this last day, and yeah, Gold Ship decided to just troll me by winning every single race off recording. So the first day was absolutely terrible, but as we go Golshi mode and do our best, yeah, we'll do our best here. So for this video specifically, though, as we get into the preparation phase, is we are just going to do long races. I'm basically going to show you my rotation for long races. Again, this is not at all optimal, because there are certainly better ways, especially if you have more resources to work with. And by that, I mean usually support cards, guest, and or guest support cards even. But yeah, it's something to think about. So we're gonna go stamina here. I've been playing around with different, basically, configurations. So this is kind of the puzzle that I'm working at. The puzzle that is, hey, what do I do best? We'll build Pace Chaser to A, and whatever aptitude I get, as long as we get, I'm still in the kind of, yeah, obviously I can get 2-star, blue and red. Along with the parents being so, but yeah, as you see here, I'm kind of messing around with Gold Ship. Now, I probably should just set anything else and not just borrow Max LB Kitasan Black. Maybe I should borrow a stronger Super Creek and use something else instead, but we're just gonna go with this. So, off we go. But on top of that, yeah, I'm just gonna leave the timestamp here, because we're gonna talk as we go through the training here. But as I also do this, because I forgot to do that, make the screen bigger for the sake of the video quality, and I'm technically recording. Apparently I dropped less frames through full screen, but that's yet to be actually proven, because that's only I've only done like 10-ish recordings of both full screen and windowed, so shrug. But otherwise, yeah, my medium racing gold ship is usually a lot more, how should I say, it's more consistent at reaching URA finals without a single clock, pretty much. And if I'm going for a long, and it's kind of just me figuring it out. But to make this more consistent, I would probably, if I really just wanted to focus on long races here, I would probably consider leveling the newest budget or shop card, which is a power, I forgot who, but it's a power card, and it has some good nice, it has training effectiveness, mood, and friendship training on top of initial friendship bonus, if I can speak correctly. But I'm basically trying to just recover my resources, because I don't strictly need it right now. It is a good card if you just want general training, but the skills are certainly not going to be for me. Even though I would probably end up making late surgers anyway. But among the cards that I already have, I already am running into a skill point problem. Now, I could start using cards that grant me an extra skill point, but then that kind of ruins a lot of other stuff. By the way, I should have something else pulled up, but this is during recording, so I'm just going to go off the top of my head. But yeah, I'll leave that statement vague. Yeah, probably just going to be guts. I mean, I'll check everything else, but usually when you see a 3+ support training, no other place is going to have the same or more, just by nature of RNG. Now, it could happen. I'm not saying it's impossible, and I'm not talking about Director Akikawa or Etsuko, Reporter Etsuko, but hey. But otherwise, I'm just cruising through life in Uma Musume. Now, that being said, I have not been making preparations that most trainers are probably making preparations for. Again, I'm doing what I can. I have it in the back of my mind, because it's not like I can ignore it. I am very aware of what is coming in the future. But That doesn't change the fact that even with that, to a lesser extent, I am having a resource problem, both in inspiration/inheritances. I don't know what I want to call it. We'll just say sparks, both in sparks and in support cards. Even though I went heavily in on support cards, although that's not in the most effective way. Basically, for those who don't know, I used 400 scouts for Kitasan Black, exchanged for two Kitasan Blacks, and did not scout a single one during the 400, which is near enough 15% as doesn't. I got 15%ed, so shrug. Good to know, even though I didn't need to know that, but yeah, as most trainers should be doing, you should be saving the 30,000 for what you plan to do. And you should be planning, obviously. But you usually want 30,000 because you can never guarantee, especially with the odds of scout rates in Musume, you can never guarantee that you'll get what you want unless you exchange. And that is even the bare minimum. It's better to get something, whether it's a support card or an Musume at all, than not. But yes, you are normally going for a lot of uncaps for support cards. Sometimes you only need one, but that's usually the bare minimum from what I see. I mean, obviously you want to max uncap most of the time, but for a lot of support cards that a lot of trainers will be using, a good at least 50% of them usually require 2 to 3 uncaps, usually 3 uncaps, but anywho. So off we go. I should just increase mood here, but I usually want to end up using energy. The funny thing about that is when I'm at normal mood, I go to recreation, get 1 mood increase with energy, even though I'm topped off. But then when I wait for myself to be at good, or when I lose energy and then I say, okay, I'm going to go from normal to good, gives me karaoke. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, basically, when you hit recreation, you go into karaoke, you get 2 mood levels. But there's a chance you do another recreation, which gives you energy and 1 mood level instead. So, small things that you don't really need, but it's funny to notice, I suppose. But anywho, as we move on. But that being said, just consistently playing with Gold Chip and training her, you are kind of crossing your fingers a lot of the time, because there is, I feel like, well, I mean, we see it based on the training scenarios that you go into, but definitely for Gold Chip, because she's an end closer, you can just get blocked and your stats just don't mean anything. Now, you can help yourself by increasing certain stats, usually power, and to a greater extent wits, because those do affect, well, power is directly related to the fact that you can overtake quickly enough to make a difference in the final spurt, and then wits is directly involved in your Musume's decision making and whether or not she decides to make certain decisions. Usually speeding up, and to some extent, I think also overtaking targets, but definitely trying to make her position make sense. So if she's too far from the front, she needs to decide on, hey, I need to speed up. And sometimes if your wits are low enough, that doesn't happen. But that being said, it's not like an extra 100 to even 200 wits gives you... it doesn't look like... No, let me correct myself. It doesn't look like it grants you greater success in the decision-making of position keeping, but because your Musume is constantly trying to make certain decisions here and there, it does matter in a vacuum, especially when you're in the places when it matters, the beginning and middle parts of the race, which is when... I don't remember if it's every second your Musume tries to make a decision, but... even if it's every 3 seconds, the proc rate happening based on wits happening over and over and over again, there is a difference between someone who has an extra 100, 200 wits and someone who doesn't. And essentially, you start, if you want just numbers outright, I'm just going to say them out loud, around 15% is what you'll have in terms of the rate of 15 to 18% if you have like only 100, 200 wits. And as you increase your wits by 100, you get an extra like 4 to 5%. So... with 200-ish, I forgot which one, but I'm in the ballpark. So around 200 wits, you have about a 19% chance for your Musume to make smarter decisions on position keeping. So if she's too slow, she's like, oh, I need to speed up. And then she proceeds to speed up. If you have 300, it's about 23% or 24%, and so on and so forth. And this increases. Now, I think it does scale proportionally, so the higher your wits, the less you get, but... obviously, an extra 300. That's why I said earlier, before the legend races for the sprint race that we are ending right now, before that, I was talking about how an extra 300 wits can make the difference. And not just in the decision-making of position keeping, because that, to some trainers, they believe it matters less in a sprint race because there's less distance, but still, there's another factor in being in the fluctuation of speed, which is something I've talked about. And if I keep talking about this and for some reason I'm really wrong, well, that would be really strange, because I literally started talking about this and started being redundant with saying this because I saw things directly from the source of a source that I believe in, basically. Is that Fuji Kiseki in the background, by the way? Anywho. But yeah, I am just autopiloting this because we pretty much don't need to do anything until after Hopeful Stakes. After Hopeful Stakes, though, is when you pretty much plan your first races here and there. Now, if you're doing medium races, what I usually like to do is wait for the second goal race, because you usually won't have 20,000 fans to schedule Takarazuka Kinen for the first time. Also, it would probably do me better to actually take a velocity perk than a stamina perk, but shrug. Depends how long this race is. I can't remember. I really should have just gone over the specific... No, 2,000 meters? Yeah, we should all be kind of suffering here. Actually, no, we should kind of be a bit better, even though we got second. But seeing ourselves get second here, we could have just gotten blocked for too long, and yeah, that causes you to get second or third place, which isn't so bad at the first half of the scenario mode, but obviously getting first is usually better for everything, really. So, I'm struggling in real life. But as we move on here, yeah, extra wits would be nice, but that's only after you fill in your requirements for stamina, speed, and power, and particularly stamina to a greater extent. But after that, I mean, there are builds in which you make more power than speed, but again, that's really if you're kind of trying to ration, which is more important. Which in general, I'm just going to rest here, by the way, which in general is, yes, if you're an end closer, late surger, your power should be near, or if not more, well, end closers definitely usually want more power than speed. And then late surgers can be around, their speed and power values should pretty much be even. But again, it depends. You really want to just gear, if you know what races you're going to go into, or race, singular in certain cases, then you can fine-tune your stats to do certain things. But again, it all depends on what you're trying to do. Also, we should go to career profile, not the chat. But anywho, I recently started slotting in a Marvelous Sunday, just so I can, because without Marvelous Sunday, my wits drops by like 200, so I'm only at like 200 wits, pretty much by the end of Gold Chip scenario mode, which is not good, by the way. That has failed me more often than not. And if that is because of just big RNG, like literally a coin flips chance, it's probably more or less, it's probably a lot more or a lot less than that, but you get the point. It makes a difference. At least from what I've observed, but my observations are not obviously the best, so really should be looking at other sources. But that's what I mean by wits effects in race, you know, the decision-making for position keeping, the random speed fluctuations, the proccing downhill acceleration mode when your Musume reaches a downhill, and whether or not she does so at all, which is basically still a proc rate. If you're really pushing the boundaries of wits, as we do recreation here really quickly. Energy, please, don't give me karaoke. Okay, good. Yeah, if you're really trying to... Again, the argument's going to go both ways. So maybe sometimes an extra 200 wits, having 400 wits compared to 200 wits doesn't matter to some trainers, but it is something that has to do with RNG, so I think both sides are right to believe both things. One side saying 200 wits is okay enough, and the other side saying 400 is great. But that being said, wits does play a large part in many aspects of a race, so I would be on the side of saying, yeah, I usually would like to push wits more. But the nuance there is if you are sacrificing pretty much speed, power, and stamina for wits, you should know the exact reason why you're doing so. One very obvious example is that you're just trying to proc skills for points in Team Trials mode, but shrug. But otherwise, yeah, if you're actually trying to win a race, you really need to make sure you hit those three stat requirements and caps, really, for speed and power specifically. And then afterwards, you dump it. Funny enough, well, speed can be considered a dump stat, but really, if you hit everything else at this current point in global server, really wits is your dump stat, and then guts is pretty much figured out. But having more guts is always, you know, since guts does equal stamina really indirectly. If for some reason you don't have enough skills, you can, I guess, build guts, but it's really less efficient. But on the other side of that, if you don't believe in like skills proccing at all, I guess you can just build guts as well and use less skills. I would not recommend that though. Again, I went silent for the time. It's not like I went silent to kind of just say, oh, that's the point. No, you really don't want to try and rely on guts as a way for stamina. You can. I'm not saying it's impossible, but yeah. And again, the very specific version of this is that, as I just mentioned, you don't want to rely on skills, or maybe you only have like one rare gold recovery skill, and so you end up trying to build guts to help out, which, again, guts directly helps you with some other effects too at the current moment in global server and your minimum speed, but it directly affects the rate at which your endurance is lost. We'll use the game's terms. Endurance is lost at the final spurt specifically. Like, that's just hard facts. And if it's not hard facts, well, someone better correct me. I don't like spreading information, but I feel pretty certain that that's the case, if I'm remembering correctly. I'm saying, again, I've done a lot of trying to study and remember things, but anywho. So we're gonna rest here. I usually like taking Takarazuka Kinen. The main reason is for the Gold Chip event. I might as well take, if I'm going to say it's either Takarazuka Kinen or Japan Cup. But the difference between both of those is that while Japan Cup grants you more fans, Takarazuka Kinen for Gold Chip specifically, if you win both Takarazuka Kinens in Classic and Senior Year, you get extra goodies basically. Even though it might not be the most amount of stats, but hey, you know what? Let's just do this. This doesn't get rid of energy, right? But anywho, yeah, we get straight away adept, but really just speed. We don't need the energy, which is what the other choice would have given me, and yeah, off we go. So now we go into Takarazuka Kinen. Never mind, we don't have 20,000 fans. I completely forgot about that. I was like, oh yeah, usually I have enough fans for Takarazuka Kinen, but I just remembered that we did not place first in pretty much any of our goal races aside from the Junior Make debut, which pretty much doesn't count for fans, but anywho. Although you do need to win Junior Make debut, otherwise you're stuck in a... If you don't... I've lost Junior Make debut as Gold Chip before, and let me just say, it ruins a lot of your... Or it ruins a big portion of your training. And the reason for that, as we kind of just autopilot through the summer here, is that you pretty much end up taking another medium race. So if you're trying to go for a long race URA, you end up having to search for another long race somewhere, which pretty much only happens for an OP grade race. Pretty much during the summer here, or was it the end? I know there's a long race during the summer, but obviously you don't want to do that because the stat increase from the summer usually means more. So that leaves the September, early September, in which there is an opening grade race. So we can check it right after this event. But yeah, basically you have to take another long race that doesn't do you as much good. Actually, let's check really quickly. So I'm pretty sure there's a long race somewhere in the summer here. I guess it's not late August, but there is a long race here, and yeah, it's this poor old turf that pretty much grants you nothing. No trophies, not a lot of skill points, not a lot of goodies, just sadness. So yeah, I'm willing to fail this here because there are no negative effects to failing the wits training. Except for the fact that I don't get stats, obviously. But that beats getting our mood lowered and failing any other trainings. So I'm shrugging in real life. But anywho. Again, this video exists primarily just for fun and enjoyment stuff, but it also exists in case anyone wants any data for one other trainer in a sea of trainers training. Specifically, usually Gold Chip, but this is a Gold Chip Batsu, so that's to be expected. And I really should just go for Guts here, just really quickly. I usually try to supplement Guts through events, but from the pretty much past 10 runs I've done, even that's not enough at times if I want more stamina per point, which matters more. Basically, your classic year is going to be, well, for me, the classic year for Gold Chip is really shaky. I don't deny that there's a actual consistent strat, even with the resources I have, support card-wise and legacy-wise, which I could have just been using a guest to help me out here, but in the senior year, you're going to see me pretty much win nearly, if not all of our long races very consistently, because we're going to be pushing stamina and also grabbing stamina perks. And by that, I mean we don't have a lot of stamina perks yet, but we should be able to knock this out of the park. No one in Kikuka Sho normally has above like 300-ish stamina, which means Well, you know what? We'll show you the race. So, just really quickly as the game loads, because there's nothing else to talk about. So if you played with, or if you trained Super Creek before, and you train her for long races with a lot of stamina, just even like in classic gear, there's a really funny race. I don't remember if it's a gold race. I think I have it on my notes somewhere because I wanted to talk about it because it was really interesting. But let me see here. So yeah, Super Creek has a G2 long race. Again, I don't remember if it's a gold race, but there's a very specific G2 race you can participate in or are forced to participate in. And if you have, I think around like 500 to 600 stamina at that point, you will literally see, well, even if you don't have enough, either way, you're going to see what I think there's an actual animation for your Musume running slower. And by that, I mean, she won't be running, her animation will not be as fast when she's running, and she'll kind of bend her back straight, or she'll straighten her back as she runs. Again, I don't know if you'll be able to see it here, but there's a very, like, even the way that they run, you know, with their arms out, hands straight. I feel like there's a way to tell visually when someone is out of stamina or is losing stamina, because essentially you'll see their speed decrease and their animation shows their speed decrease. But that's my speculation, though. I'm pretty sure someone else has mentioned it before somewhere, either on a guide or a veteran trainer has said so. But just to say, so like right now, everyone is running properly. They have stamina, obviously, because it's the beginning of the race. But at the end of the race, if you see, say, Saiyan Sky, this animation becomes a lot slower. My own Top Gun usually actually has a lot of stamina in the NPC races. I don't know why, but you'll see it. And then, yeah, specifically during Super Creek scenario, you'll see a G2 long race where everyone pretty much slows down. Their animations will look slow, and I think they're actually moving slower, which kind of makes sense. And yeah, that's how you can tell that stamina's running out. But as for for trainers who don't know completely what's going on when I'm talking about this, essentially, so your stamina stat does play a huge factor if you have a lot of stamina. But for long races specifically, you can see the effects in scenario mode, even because scenario mode, while it increases all of your stats by 400 during the race as a modified stat, that's still not enough for long races that are pretty much 3,000 meters. 3,000 meters or more, but particularly 3,200 meters, which is most likely what you're going to get when a long range race procs, especially for URA finals. Now, if you get blocked up here, that's going to be really sad, but that's just end closer life. That's not long race life, so. But yeah, 3,200 meters or more, if you have 400 stamina going in, and I think your rivals are also buffed with 400 stats as well, that's why they can still survive. But if you get to a 3,200, 3,400, 3,600 meter race, if you have like 600, 800 stamina and with good recovery, with 2 or 3 good recovery perks, you're pretty much going to see yourself always win by a distance length. So let's see what happens here. So Goldchip's in good positions. He's on the outer lane. Probably would be faster on the inner lane, but it doesn't matter if everyone runs out of stamina. So as we reach the final leg here, you're going to see Goldchip accelerate, and she might accelerate faster than everyone else. But we'll see what actually happens here. So actually someone else has apparently the stamina to do this race. But yeah, it's Super Creek. Never mind. Is Super Creek always in this race? Yeah, Super Creek is also another usually NPC or rival that ends up having a lot of stamina. So we could just get second place here. But we should see Goldchip pull forward ahead here as well, unless we're blocked. But I don't know if she ran out of stamina. It looks like she's still running somewhat fast, but again, that's also choppiness because of this setup can't run it properly. But we must have gotten blocked or something because I don't see Goldchip anywhere. Also, actually, we never procced a single stamina perk either, so we could have just ran out of stamina. Yeah, it's not good. We did get third, but yeah. So yeah, lack guts. That actually does make sense because we have less than 200 guts right now. If you didn't know, for medium races even, you want 250 guts. 250 guts on basically any medium grade race or that medium distance of race means more than a single point of stamina effectively. Again, if stamina is the gas in the tank, then guts is the fuel usage of that tank. Let me repeat in case you skip forward this timestamp. Oh, that's right, we can do the long race afterward, but we need guts apparently, so whoops. If we fail this, I guess that's just the end of the video, but we should be able to knock this out of the park. This G2 race there is usually not so bad. Also, I usually do more stamina trainings anyway, so yeah, this is really not enough guts. It makes sense why we ran out of stamina. We also didn't proc our stamina recovery perks, so that makes me really sad as well. Basically, we win this G2 race, we'll be fine. For those who don't know, even though it doesn't look like, so say that our goal right now is, say that our goal is 6,000 fans, but a race gives 5,000, you'll usually get more than that because a lot of support cards, especially if you've leveled them properly, they will give you extra fan bonus. So we're going to take stamina here just to try and survive this though. But yeah, this is 8,000, the G2 race gives me 6,000, but that's not including the fan bonus increase, which we probably have enough of to give us like 9,000, 10,000 fans. What I'm worried about after this is getting enough fans to upgrade the unique perk. Not that you sometimes... Funny enough, sometimes you don't want that because you get skill points instead. And yes, as a 2-star gold ship, I suppose upgrading the unique skill doesn't really do as much for me. In fact, it's very minuscule, apparently, the value. But, Did I take the... Yeah, I took the end closer downhill recovery perk. I didn't mean to do that. I should have just been doing... So someone told me a long time ago just to hold on the button on a training that's not highlighted and just shift around. But it's fine. And finally we're on the event chain. I keep wanting to call it linked event. Finally we're on the event chain to get Swinging Maestro, which, hey... Again, correct me if I'm wrong. 3,600 meters, by the way. But, yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm still sure... Like, yes... as of right now in global server, again, let me repeat that. As of right now in global server, if you proc a recovery perk as you, is it the final leg or the final spurt? I think it's the final leg at earliest. But basically, during the last part of the race, if you proc a recovery perk, your Musume will not accelerate based on that recovery skills usage. However, that does still give her the HP, so at least if she gets hit by a debuff or something, or if she were to run out of HP without using that skill, if she uses that skill, I believe she still has HP, so she won't peter out at the end, which is usually more important. You'll be surprised to see how many times, especially if you play gold or train gold chip a lot. We're gonna skip to the final leg here, but you'll be surprised to see how many times rivals can peter their stamina out, and yeah, you just take first place. But either this Sibley Rudolph survives or we're accelerating right now because everyone else should be slowing down because they don't have the stamina requirement. But we'll see what happens. This being said though, what would have been nice... Oh no, we might lose actually. That's weird. We ran out of stamina. It looks like we ran out of stamina. Everyone ran out of stamina, by the way. Goodness, because again, I'm looking at the animation, seeing that they ran kind of slower. Oh, we might have actually failed this scenario, which is really, really funny. The primary reason, though, is... Okay, yeah, so what I normally actually do is this Marvelous Sunday is actually a stamina perk, and yeah, we just actually petered out here. It's a very funny scenario, by the way. Gold Chip Batsu, but... Did I really... No, I think it's this Sweep Tosho that was normally a stamina recovery perk. So, whoopsie doopsies, we petered out here. No clock available, but I'm running out of clocks anyway. That is me kind of making excuses, but hey. As long as the game doesn't give me like a 3-star red spark and 2-star blue spark, I won't feel as bad. But, yeah, this is not by far. So, yeah, I should actually replace the Sweep Tosho with either a power card or really just a stamina card. So without further ado, this is a very funny way to end this, but yeah, it wasn't an amazing gold chip anyway. Yes, obviously your stats can... We're not even at the stat requirement to get 3-star stats, but you get... I think you get what I'm trying to get out here. And yeah, about 31 million away from the next gold chip title. But anywho, so as this video comes to a close, because I should... So the main reason I brought Sweep Tosho usually, as you're probably seeing the end screen now, is I like to take her to try and proc her Charming event, but just one stamina card doesn't seem to be enough. So that being said, again, this is because I'm trying to shoot for long races, so I guess the next episode, hopefully we make it. I think the last episode was URA long finals as well. But anywho, you get what I'm trying to say. I'm not going to take up much more of your time, so as again, another RP point here. I'd like to thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye!